Hey guys, I'm Greg Hardy and I want to welcome you to my channel. I'm going to show you how to build your credit the right way. Having a great credit score can save you thousands of dollars in interest fees over time. And over the past several years, I've consistently had a score over 800. Now this video isn't intended to brag about that, but simply as a teaching guide on how to properly use a credit card through financial responsibility to improve your financial future. In order to achieve that kind of a score, you have to be able to manage your finances properly. Now, I'm not encouraging you to run out and get a credit card or anything, but let's face it, most of you probably have one or more in your possession right now. So let's focus on the correct way to use them. I want you to have control over the credit card and not the other way around. But before we do that, I ask that you hit that like button and consider subscribing to this channel so that this video can reach a wider audience and help even more people. Let's get started. Let's go over some pretty alarming statistics as it relates to credit cards. Credit card debt is reaching epidemic levels in today's society. Americans collectively hold $1.13 trillion in credit card debt as of the end of December 2023, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York's latest Household Debt and Credit Report. On an individual level, Americans carried credit card balances averaging almost $8,000 as of the end of 2023, according to New York Life's Wealth Watch 2024 survey. That's up from an average balance of $6,321 during the same time period in 2022. Debt holders say they put around $363 per month toward credit card debt in 2023. That's slightly less than the $430 that they paid monthly in 2022. For those of you that don't have a credit card or just aren't exactly sure what they are, let me explain. Credit cards allow borrowers to divide large purchases into smaller, more manageable payments. When used responsibly, credit cards can be an excellent tool to help establish a credit history. But I can't stress this enough. Credit cards should only be used as a medium of exchange and not as a financial crutch. To put it another way, a credit card represents access to real purchasing power, but without you having to have the necessary funds to back it. Therefore, it makes it much easier to spend beyond your means. To determine your credit score, the credit bureaus break down your financial history into several different categories, with the first being on-time payment history, which accounts for 35% of your score, which is the highest percentage that they measure. When you have a credit card, it's imperative that you make your payments on time, especially when you're young or you just got your first card. If you don't pay on time, your score will be negatively affected, and when you're young, that can be very detrimental to you later in life. Let's say you've had a credit card for 3 years, which is 36 months, and you've made one late or missed payment during that time. Let's see how that affects your score by simply taking 35 on-time payments and divide by 36 months, and we get 97.2% paid on time. Well, that's a great score in school. For your credit, not so much. Research shows that your track record of payments tend to be the strongest predictor of the likelihood that you'll pay all debts as agreed to. And as you can imagine, a lender's number one priority is your past record of paying back or not paying back your loans. The types of loans that are factored into your payment history are credit cards, retail store cards, installment loans like car payments and mortgage loans, and any finance company accounts. Payment history is the biggest score factor, so it's important to pay close attention to it and make sure your bills are paid on time. Also, if you don't pay attention to the interest rate on your credit card, you will come to find a significant increase in any outstanding balances that you may carry. Since most credit cards have variable interest rates, so when the Fed raises interest rates, your credit card rate will go up too. Current credit card interest rates are hovering around 21%. Couple that with only making the minimum payment, you'll find it pretty challenging to make any headway to pay them off. One thing to know is that essentially you're charged interest on your interest, which causes your credit card balance to continue to grow even if you don't make any additional purchases. Let's say you had the average credit card balance of $6,360 according to TransUnion on a card with an interest rate of 21%. You'd be in debt for a little over 25 years if you made the minimum monthly payment consisting of the interest rate accrued plus 1% of the balance per Bankrate's minimum payment calculator. On top of that, you would pay over $10,000 in additional interest charges. Just think if you were able to invest that $10,000 in a basic S&P 500 index fund over that same 25 years, that would equate to $400 per year for 25 years. You'd have nearly $44,000 rate of return. That money could be saved for retirement instead of giving it to Visa, American Express, or MasterCard. Amounts owed indicate the total debt you carry. However, your credit utilization, not just the total debt amount, holds greater weight in your credit score. When a large portion of available credit is utilized, it suggests that you are potentially overextended, increasing the likelihood of late or missed payments. Meaning you shouldn't just go out and max out all your credit cards, but instead only use a small portion of the credit that's available to you. A good rule of thumb is to keep your credit utilization under 30%. This means that if you have $10,000 in available credit, you don't ever want your balances to go over $3,000. According to Experian, the 30% level is not a target, but rather is the maximum limit. Exceeding that level will have a significantly negative impact on credit scores. But increasingly, financial experts are recommending that you don't want to go above 10% if you really want an excellent credit score. We have a credit card that we use and we pay it off in full every month, which effectively shows that we have a 0% utilization rate. Some say that that hurts your credit score, but I haven't seen that in my score at all, ever. Where the problem happens is when you have a high limit on your card or on multiple cards with the attempt to lower your utilization rate, and then you begin excessively charging on those cards. Don't keep a balance every month because the interest that you pay is just costing you more money in the long run. 15% of your overall credit score is made up by the average length of time you've had credit. What I mean by average isn't how long it's been since you've gotten your first credit card. It has to do with the length of time that you've had each card. History is determined by how long your credit accounts have been opened, which includes the age of your oldest account, the age of your newest account, and an average age of all of your accounts. Say, for example, you opened your first credit card 10 years ago, and you opened your second one today. That would be an average of 5 years. Closing out a credit card can also lower the length of your credit history too. Ever hear of the saying that it takes money to make money? Well, the same can be said for credit. It takes credit to make credit. You can absolutely do some things to help grow the length of your credit history, like applying for a secured credit card. A secured credit card is a type of credit card that requires a cash deposit as collateral, which typically will determine the credit limit. It's designed for individuals with limited or poor credit history who may not qualify for a traditional unsecured credit card. The deposit acts as like a security blanket for the issuer in case the cardholder fails to make payments. Secured credit cards function similarly to regular credit cards, allowing cardholders to make purchases and build or rebuild credit history through responsible use. I would be hesitant on this one because money can really complicate relationships, but you can also see if a family member or someone close to you with good credit to be a co-applicant on a card for you, allowing you to use their credit history to get you started. Even some people who haven't had credit for a considerable length of time can still have a high FICO score if the rest of their credit report looks good. There's also a method called piggybacking where you can become an authorized user on someone's account with a high score. This can help elevate your credit score quickly. However, not all credit card companies report authorized users' activity, and therefore it doesn't help you. If you piggyback on someone with bad credit or poor spending habits, it can negatively affect you too. The types of credit you have is known as your credit mix, and that makes up 10% of your total score. This can include a mix of accounts ranging from credit cards, retail store accounts, and installment loans like mortgage, car, and student loans. So why does having all these accounts positively affect your score? Well, that's because creditors assess the risk of lending money through a variety of factors. One of them is the ability for you to successfully manage different types of credit. Therefore, more credit means higher limits, which can lower your credit utilization percentage, and hopefully with all that, all your payments are made on time. This can show lenders that you're responsible with your finances and can handle the increased debt load. This is definitely a risk versus reward scenario. If you're not responsible with your credit cards, then don't get any more of them. From the statistics that I covered in the beginning of this video, people tend to have more credit today and shop for new credit more frequently than ever. To get a new credit card, a lender will run a credit inquiry. An inquiry is simply when a lender makes a request for your credit report or your score. Research shows that opening several new credit accounts in a short period of time represents greater risk and could be a sign of financial distress or hardships. Remember, the more new credit you establish, the lower your average credit history becomes. However, FICO scores only considers inquiries from the last 12 months, but inquiries remain on your credit report for 2 years. It's worth noting that inquiries usually have a small impact on your score and that many types of inquiries are completely ignored, which allows you to shop around for the best rate possible. For example, Say you're shopping for a home loan and reach out to a few different lenders and they all run your credit. That will only count as one credit pool since credit bureaus typically group them all together. Now that you know what credit cards are, how they work, and how they can impact you, there's one thing I want to make clear as it relates to this video. So here's my disclaimer. Don't believe that you have to have a credit card or a credit score to be financially successful or to be able to have what you want in life. You don't have to have a credit score to buy a home. In fact, I've sold homes to many people with zero credit score. Credit cards can really complicate and even destroy your finances if they're not managed correctly. Between high interest rates and late fees for missed payments, they can keep you in debt for much longer than you might have realized. Make sure that if you have credit cards, be intentional with them and also monitor your credit report and your score occasionally to make sure everything is the way you expected it to be. Here's one final piece of advice. Treat your credit card like a debit card. Since debit cards are linked to your bank account, you're only able to spend what you have access to in your account. If you want to learn more about growing your wealth, then I invite you to check out this video right here. But before you do that, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope that you liked this video and that you got something out of it. I'll see you in the next one.